Hey everyone, so I'm Sabang from Gamers Den, and well, we are a pretty small one-man indie game development studio from India, and this is actually my first tutorial and guide video for anything related to game development, and I will be talking about Google Firebase and specifically speaking its Cloud Firestore product, which is mainly for storing your data in basically database backend as a service. And I'm doing this because there are not really any videos, tutorial or guides for this topic because I was trying to use Firestore for my own needs, and when I tried finding any topic or like any helpful things about it, all I could find was just Google's own documentation and not much videos about it. Like if you just search for Unity Firestore, there are like what 6 videos, and only these two are like actually not even these two. Only this one was a little bit helpful for explaining what Firestore is, and I will be pretty honest, it was very confusing when I was trying to understand if it will suit my needs compared to their more famous database solution, which is Firebase Realtime Database, which most of the other developers use. And like you can use, whether it's Realtime Database or Firestore, you can use it as your main database solution, whether it's for your video game, your web platform, your mobile app, anything. It's like a cloud, uh, it's a database replacement for the cloud instead of using like the old school and more popular solutions like MySQL or any other real-time databases. So there are a few benefits over using self-hosted solutions like MySQL, and a few major things are like you do not need to self-host your own MySQL server. You do not need to use expensive cloud-hosted MySQL solutions. You do not really need to create your own middleware API in PHP or anything. So like your game sends data to your API and your API sends data to SQL, and then SQL sends data to API, and then your game reads it from it. These cloud products, whether it's from Google or Microsoft or AWS, they pretty much handle all of those with just 2 or 3 lines of code, and you do not need to care about hosting or servers or any other backend stuff. You can just focus on developing your product. So like you can find more information about Firestore or real-time database on Google. I'm not really like too knowledgeable in these topics myself, so I can only tell or speak from my own perspective and understanding, and I will keep a few topics short and a few topics detailed. So the thing is, first to brief you about my game project and what my needs were. I'm making a chess game, a multiplayer chess game in Unity 3D, which is like one of the most popular game development engine. And so my game would have single player and multiplayer mode. I finished implementing single player functionality. I finished implementing multiplayer functionality using Photon. I will create a separate briefing video on how to create a turn-based game or a board game like chess using Photon engine in multiplayer. So now the thing was, I did not just want to create another simple chess game and release it on mobile or Steam. I wanted to create it both for casual players and professional players. There are like the most popular chess platform right now is Lichess, and it's mostly like it's quite simple and normal chess. It's web-based, they have their own PC app, but I wanted to create multiple custom chess modes, whether it's normal chess, blades, turn-based chess, RPG, auto chess, etc. Like I will have multiple chess modes. Most of them would be custom games, and my chess game will have custom visual skins for chess pieces, chess boards, full-on voice command support like you see in Harry Potter movies, the Wizard Chess or No Game No Life anime. Anyways, so I wanted a more of a foolproof backend to handle the needs of professional players as well, which mostly included keeping a record and history of all my matches, having a rating system like ELO or Glico2, which Lichess uses. And for all those needs, other than other than anything else, I had to have a history of all the matches, all the data from those matches, who wins, who loses, how many moves, which moves, in a database. So like I can calculate their ratings and provide more in-game features and like options to the players. So normally what I do is I create my own database solution using MySQL as the database engine and using PHP to create my own API. But it's quite time consuming. Like you have to create your database structure, you have to take care of hosting, you have to write code in PHP, you have to create the APIs, then you have to like implement everything, your APIs in Unity and C Sharp. Yeah, it gets pretty hectic and time consuming, and yeah, it's no fun. So this time I wanted to use Firebase for my backend needs, and like everyone else, my first option was real-time database. But like before anything else, what turned me off from real-time database was that its data structure is JSON based, or you can say structured like a JSON tree, where there is a node, then subnode, and etc. etc. While if, for anyone who has used MySQL or any RDB mesh, usually what you have are tables, user, matches, moves. So these are your tables. Then each table will have the rows, which would be like user ID, username, registration time, match ID, moves, etc. And like this is very easier to understand, this is very easier to manage, this is very easier to browse through if you need to like access any data, because all of the data is usually key value paired compared to like JSON. And maybe it's personal thing, but I was really turned off by this JSON structure because I knew for once that I would have hell of a time from a typical MySQL and key value pair data structure user to this kind of stuff. Then there were a few other disadvantages as well. A few like I can tell the disadvantages that made me like back away from real-time database, and they were mainly that most of your data is stored as a one large JSON tree. So if we take this example, this is your, if we are talking in terms of a normal MySQL database structure, this is your table and these are your columns. Well, not this, but this is your main column, sub columns, etc. And everything will be structured like this, and it kind of becomes hectic because you cannot just go to your table like in MySQL and open user and directly open user 123. No, when you open user, and if you have 100,000 users, like you will get a really long tree down here. And other than that, there is also the fact that you need to like real-time database does not really provide any data flattening and normalization methods. Basically what I mean is if you have custom data like whatever data you have in your game or C# script in Unity, you need to normalize and denormalize them yourself if you like, if the need arrives. And the other thing is you need to convert a lot of data between array, dictionary, and then to JSON, and from JSON to dictionary, etc. Like, it was not really impressive. And one of the major things is that, like, they Google Firebase says that real-time database provides deep queries with limited sorting and filtering functionality, but the fact is the querying feature, basically the search feature for your real-time database, really sucks. Like, there are no easy words to describe it except the fact that it really sucks. So let's see if they have an example, I believe. Yeah, so this is an example where, like, first you get the reference to your main node, or basically table. I will talk about all this stuff in MySQL terms. This is your table. You get a reference to your table, and then you use one of these 5 functions to query or filter your data, whether it's like, I don't even know what all these do. Basically the important one is this equal to, which is double equal to search in MySQL. And as you can see, the search thing is pathetic. You get reference, you use equal to. You cannot use more than one query, by the way. So if you want to apply multiple conditions, you need to get your data once, query it, get results again, query it, etc. And like, most of the most popular way other developers and users query or filter their data is not even using this thing what they provide, because it sucks so much. What they do is, like, they will get all their data in code as array or dictionary from JSON, and then they will provide conditional statements, if else, etc., within their code to filter data. But like, you can imagine, for small sets of data that is fine, but for larger sets of data, 100,000 users in a game, like, you will be running a really big loop. And like, you can find differences between real-time database and cloud Firestore yourself online and see what fits your needs. But personally speaking, as a game developer, if you are looking for a backend for a database solution for your game, cloud Firestore is the way to go. Do not waste your time with this, because by the way, Google will soon be depreciating, like, killing real-time database in a few years, from what I have read. So eventually you will need to move to cloud Firestore anyway, and this is just a waste of time, because the way you use these two solutions is completely different. So just go with this. And this is basically how the structure of both these solutions differentiate. So this is a typical table and data in a real-time database in JSON structure. And in Firestore, what we have are, like, we have first of all, we have key value pairs. Data is stored in key value pairs, and we have a collection holds document holds your data, which is mostly fields and actual values, and document can hold collections, and collections can hold documents. So like, you can create a very nasty very nested sub collection, sub documents, and a tree like that. For more details, I will be leaving a link in the description, but for more details you should really watch this video, because all the structure and stuff is explained in this really nice. Like, this doesn't provide you any actual code or how to use Firestore, but this video helped me a lot to understand how Firestore works, how it differentiates from real time, and why it's of actual use to me. Now, the other thing many of you might be interested in is pricing difference. And I will be writing a blog post about this whole video, all of its part in text, and maybe it will be more readable and understandable as a blog post. But the pricing for a real-time database is quite straightforward. So you get 100 simultaneous collections in free package, which is more or less 100 users. But don't consider it as full 100 users. Think of it as 90%, like so 90 users can connect in free plan. You get 1 GB storage free. So whatever data you store, whether in Firestore or real-time database, they take up storage space, and this is how much you get. But like, don't worry about the storage space. Most of you will you will rarely hit this 1 GB limit unless your game is really big, your database is really big and complex. I think you will need like at least 10 to 25,000 users or even more to reach this limit. And then there is cost for GB downloaded. This is the outgoing traffic from Firebase, from Google servers to your users. This is also like, these two limits are quite generous, I would say. You will rarely hit these. Only limit of interest is this simultaneous connection. So if your multiplayer games is going to have more than 100 users at once, you need to go for paid plan. And the thing about Firebase is nice thing that if you go for paid plan, you pay for what you use and you will get these limits from the free plan included in it. So like you can upgrade your account to a paid plan, but you will only and only pay for these things once you cross these. So like you have upgraded to the paid plan, but in each month you are not crossing 100 users or 1 GB data storage, you will not be charged a single penny, and that's the nice thing. And if you go above like 100 users to 101, 110, then 100 users will be free for you, and anything above 100 will be chargeable. So like 10 users extra will be chargeable. Same way, if you use 2 GB of storage, 1 GB will be free, 1 GB will be charged $5 per GB. And like that's pretty much it. You do not pay for any traffic going into Google servers, so that is neat. Excuse me for some water. So you're only really paying for storage used, outgoing traffic and connections. And I said this is the actual thing you need to be concerned about. And even though in the paid plan they say 200,000 users per database, like that's not per account, that's per database. So I have my real-time database project opened here for my game, which is named Satranj, and that 200,000 limit applies per database. So the what you need to do is you need to plan your database structure from the moment you before you even sign up for Firebase. You should be writing it on paper or in Excel or anything, and you should divide your database, structure it so it's divided into multiple tables or databases. So like I'm not going to create one single Satranj database, then multiple tables called matches, users, moves, etc., and then data in it. Instead, what I can do is I can create multiple databases itself for specific use. One database to hold all the data related to matches, one for users, and this way I get that 200,000 connection limit per database. So 200,000, 200,000, and default database 200,000. I can just distribute the connections across multiple databases, and like that's a neat trick. Now the more confusing pricing model is for Firestore, and that's why, because it's a bit hard to understand, I would say, but let's see. So they provide 1 GB of storage as standard, same as real-time database, but you pay way less for extra storage. It's 0.018 per GB instead of $5 per GB. And for outgoing traffic you get 10 GB per month, and after that Google Cloud pricing applies for outgoing traffic, and this pricing is like based on the location where your database is hosted. So for my case, my database is hosted in Europe West. I'm from India, Asia, so normally you would think that you should host your database from the region you are, but I think it's better to host it either in the country or region you're targeting your main market or users, or somewhere centrally like Europe, because if you think about it, Europe is almost equidistant from North America, South America, and Asia. And so for me, the Europe pricing applies, and you can check the pricing model here for outgoing traffic. It's pretty cheap, I would say. Like I would say this right away, that there are many websites and many blogs or videos which are scaring you into thinking that Firestore is really expensive or it's gonna blow your wallet or budget. That is simply not the case. If you plan your database structure right, if you write efficient code, if you are not like making database calls every second or so for each and every data you want to store, you are never going to even use, like really going to cross your free limits. Like think about it. You are not really paying for anything else. There is no connection limit. You get 20,000 data writes per day. So in my case, if I'm storing moves, let's take an example. If I consider one match of chess has on average 50 moves, or let's say 100 moves before it ends, and each day there are let's say, let's go generous, 500 matches being played each day, then I am going to be needed 50,000 of document writes per day, and out of which I'm getting, like, this is way big figure. If I'm like hitting these numbers, I should already be making a good amount of profit from my game. Like this means I have at least 500 users or maybe even 300 users playing chess, one game of chess each day in my game. And for this 50,000 document right, I'm getting 20,000 per day as free, and anything above it is like $0.18 per 100,000 writes. So even if you forget about this free usage limit, you need to, like, I would really only need to pay like $0.09 for that amount of data that I'm storing. Same way for like reads, it's even cheaper. Like Firestore's API calls and all this stuff is really cheap. Only thing you need to be concerned about is storage data, just like real-time database. But again, compared to $5 per GB, you are paying way less. There are arguments that because a real-time database stores everything as flat data in JSON, it takes very less space compared to data which is stored as standard data types in Firestore. But again, like for $0.18, how much GB would you get? You can just like calculate. You can get 10 GB for less than $2, and that's a lot. So our only concern should be the outgoing traffic, and again, this is also pretty cheap, but you can write efficient code to reduce your pricing even further. For example, like this is my Firestore database structure. So if I'm sending moves data per match, this is an example. So this is a standard match, and if I'm sending moves per move, I will be making one database call to Firestore per move. But instead, what I can do of sending one call per move is I can store all the moves till the match ends locally in my code within my game, and once the match ends, I can send it as a large data, as a single data structure directly to Firestore. So basically what I mean is I can just directly store 50 or even 100 moves in a single call instead of 50 or 100 individual calls. And in that case, what you are really paying for is basically the network. Actually, you're not even paying for network because you're sending the data in. You are not taking the data out, and you are only paying network usage for data you're taking out. So that's also like a good thing, because in real-time database you cannot send large amount of data like this. So this is as far as pricing goes. Cloud functions, you need to self research on this. It's basically writing serverless functions for interacting with your database. I will be using this for calculating the user ratings, the ELO, on server side instead of on client side, so people cannot cheat. And this is as far as like most of the differences go. So talking about this Firestore, as I said, you have collection, you have documents. Document have all your data, which are key value pairs, and instead of flat data like in real-time database JSON, you have actual database types. Like as you can see, I've stored these things as number, which is basically int. I've stored this as timestamp. I've stored this as bool. And the best thing of all, I have sent this ratings object, or in this case this moves object, as a single array, actually as a dictionary and array. I will show this in my next video when we talk about adding or reading data. And like this is pretty much it. If you compare it to this, you can see like compared to real-time database structure, reading and getting your data or understanding your data this way is way easier. So like even if I have 10,000 users here, I can just scroll down very easily, find a user I want to see data of, select the user. I want to change this field, just click it, change it to different data type, and update your data or delete it. And another good thing is Firestore supports arrays as data type and even dictionaries. This map thing is dictionary. And generally speaking, because there is lack of guides and YouTube videos on how to use it with Unity in C#, it might seem intimidating at first, but the fact is, even code wise, Firestore is really easy to use once you understand how it works, how the structure works, how you can use some simple tricks to work around there. Like, I will be honest, Google's examples are very bad to show how to like use Firebase or send your data in Unity. I will show how simple it can be in real life examples. And that's pretty much it. And okay, before we end this video, another major factor in choosing Firebase is, because I'm making a chess games, I will be retrieving a lot of data on client side, match data, rating data, etc. I wanted that like query or search feature, and it should be as easy and as complex as it's in MySQL. And fortunately, Cloud Firestore provides it. So if you see their example for performing queries in Firestore, it is really easy. Like it's almost same as MySQL. Basically, you get a reference to your main tables object, which is cities, and then you create a query. This is all that is there to it. You ask it that get me all the columns in which the value of state is CA, California, and you get them. That's all there is to it. And I will show some examples of it in actual code and how I have modified some of the code to suit my needs, and better examples of their whatever they provide here. Like this took hit and trial. to like understand it, improve it and all. But yeah, so that's all there is to it, to as a general overview and to get a better understanding between real-time database and Firestore. And like, I hope it was somewhat easier to understand. It's my first time of a guide video tutorial, and I'm not really good at explaining things. So yeah, if there is any questions you have, like you want to ask me any questions, your use case, what should you be using, any doubt, just leave your comment and I will reply to it. And you can check more details about it in the blog post, whose link will be in the description. And that's it for this video. Next video we will be working with the actual Firestore database, actual code, add some data and all.